Time to do the Monday crossword on January 26th. This one is by Erica Shang Wojcik and edited by Will Shorts. I'm going to, because I have a bit of time to kill today, I think I'm going to do a cross only solve like I sometimes do on Mondays and Tuesdays. So I'm just going to take a piece of paper and put it over my right half of the screen. So around here, I'm just going to put a piece of paper here so I can't see anything, any clues in the down column. So basically, the trick is now I need to use only what I can figure out from across clues, just to make it interesting, right? And sometimes I can figure out what the down is just by guessing based on the letters I might have there. But it's definitely going to be a significant challenge. It really depends on what the theme is going to be. If the theme maybe has nice themers, and if the words are generally nice, like nice simple vocabulary. So we'll see what happens. I might not be able to finish it, but we'll just give it a try. All right. First one is a pine nut. So some kind of nut that goes in a pie typically is a pecan or pecan. I don't know how to actually pronounce it. I more often say pecan now. A boring task might be a slog. I'll leave it like that. I want to be in the loop. I want to be in the loop on this email. Maybe someone will say CC me, because this seems like this also includes the pronoun of first person pronoun, but it's not I because I is in the clue. So you typically have instead the other me as the other first person pronoun instead. So CC me. Actually, I've never seen that it's not very common to have a CC me, but sure. Let's go with that. Amore, that's Amore, the song for instance. Dean Martin, I think. Walking stick is a cane. Sounds of inspirations is maybe ahs or ahas. So maybe I think ahas is more likely than ahs because MH doesn't actually make any words that I can think of. So let's see. Classic flowering locale, okay, adjacent to the White House. Is it rose garden of some kind? I mean, things seem to work out if it's a rose garden, and I'm somewhat sure about this. Let's take a look at what this is suggesting me do. Athletic trifectas, or a phonetic hint to the start of 17, 29, and 46 across. Phonetic hint to the starts of these. So somehow rose and whatever these are connected to this. So maybe I should figure out what this is. Fireplace, fuel. I don't think it's logs. I think it's coal. Logs is more of a campfire. Jadedness. This is a word that you'll see quite often in puzzles. I think it's this. Ennui. French word for sort of boredom, general listlessness in life. Once appointed by corporate boards. Perhaps the CEO. I know that CEOs are not necessarily like they don't own everything. They also have to listen to the board, and sometimes the board can hire or fire CEOs. So perhaps that's what this is talking about. No-nos. Well, a no-no could be like a taboo. What's another word for taboo? No. Don'ts? Maybe it's something like these are the do's and don'ts. So a don't is a thing they shouldn't do, so it's a no, perhaps. Send an eggplant or taco emoji. What is a taco emoji about? I know that eggplant thing is probably going to be a sext. And that's what I think this is, but I I just personally don't know what the taco emoji is even about. Wishes undone. Wishes undone. Maybe ruse. Maybe ruse the day, for instance. Do unto others. That's simple. Let's see what this Parisian thanks is. Merci. Let's see what this is. This looks like it's lemurs. This looks like it's avenue. Let's see what this is. All Hallows Eve. Aha. Okay, nice. So this looks like it's lemurs, or it could be femurs. That's a bone. A lemur is an animal. But this is avenue. This looks like it's vertex. So somehow this is, I have these bracketed clues also. Former SNL cast member. So North Carolina educational institution. Some university. Maybe. I think it's something. I actually don't know many universities in North Carolina. I know there's UNC, Chapel Hill, and there's Duke. Is it Lav something? Laval, perhaps? Is that a university? I don't know. Let's look at this. Do the Right Thing. That's one of the Spike Lee films. food court pizza chain. Domino's? Well, that's not the right number of letters. It should have an S at the end. Round table? No. Pizza Hut? No, it has pizza in the name as well. Pizza chain. I'll have to come back to that, unfortunately. To increase. So you might bump, maybe. Perhaps it's bump. You might raise. As far as four-letter answers go, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm gonna go with that. Cry between ready and go is ready, set, go, which makes me think. I'm not convinced that this is university actually. Now that I look at the other things, these aren't very likely, um, especially this OE at the end. So this answer is very suspicious. I can't see what that is, of course, but I think definitely the common denominator is the university, which probably doesn't look right. So maybe it's college instead. If that's college, that could make sense because this could be like poet, or that could be like mage. I don't know. I'm just gonna take a look at some other things that I can find. Itinerary calculation in brief. If you're on an itinerary, like a schedule of things to come during the day, it might be an ETA maybe. Certainly ETA is more common than ETD, estimated time of departure as opposed to arrival. So I'm just gonna go with that. Back streets, I think it's alleys. That looks like good. So that looks like it's neglect. This looks like it's scream, perhaps. And then this is altar, or altos maybe. Truffle pigs assets. Well, truffle pigs are good at smelling, so they have good snouts. So maybe this is altos, like voice parts, sort of low female voice. Grammy award that's good for laughs. Something comedian. I mean, in here, best comedy something perhaps. The one and only, and this looks like it's the abbreviation for tablespoon. And then so this is a fun one, the over here thing. um, yeah, I mean this is something that no one people don't actually say in real life, but like, it does get people's attention. It's psst. It's psst. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with that. I don't know why it's so funny, but it is funny. Connection between topics. Connection between topics is maybe a segue. Might segue into something else. Maybe it's best comedian act. Is that something people say? I don't really know, but it looks like it's comedy something. Maybe this is one-sided and something vicious. I don't know. Connections. Okay, so a connection might be an in. You might have an in with a company or some organization, right? Like have someone on the inside helping you, giving you connections. Get gooey, maybe. To get gooey. To gel or to ooze. I'll have to look back at that. Spooky. This is very common. I'm pretty sure it's eerie because it's very friendly for crosswords. Usually crossword answers that are very high in vowels are overused compared to ones with consonants. That's just because, there are a lot more consonants than there are vowels. But in crosswords, the distribution of vowels to consonants is typically 50-50. So I think this is best comedy actor, which I don't understand how this is. I don't understand how this works. Best comedy actor, how does that relate to a Grammy Award? Because this is certainly not a Grammy, right? Unless, well, this revealer should tell me something about that. Athletic trifectas. Well, it should have an S at the end, so a phonetic hint to the starts of these things. This makes me think it could be FCC, like the organization that oversees like commerce, I think. It could be BCC, but the problem with that is this is there already is an instance of CC up here, and that has the same meaning as the CC over here. Unless I was thinking of this before, maybe this is not actually CEOs. Perhaps, well, I know this has to be an S here. Once appointed by corporate boards. Who could be appointed? I would have thought it would be some C-suite person. So if that happens to be an F, does that give me anything? Something athletic trifectas. Well, I don't know. A waiter or waitress. I know that one. It's a server. Then what is this? This looks like it's corals or carols. But certainly these are vowels. So I'll look out for that. A beverage that may come in a pint. Looks like an ale. Because it's some kind of alcoholic drink, right? Like always comes in a pint. And ale is also one of those answers that is used a lot in puzzles. So I'm okay with that. This looks like this answer might be solve. It could also be Volvo, like the car. So I'll take a look at this letter. Uh, Food court pizza chain. Still. Um, I don't know this one. Am I sure that this is college? Because if it's not college, then I'm kind of I'm in a spot now. I don't really know what's um. This is certainly do the right thing. Oh, at first I was suspicious with this, but let me fill this one in because I think I'm guessing that the clue for this is something like approved digitally, and this is e-sign. Um, yeah, and this was also something that I've seen quite often. Um, and just in general, the clues with a lot of vowels or clues with a lot of very low point Scrabble tiles, for instance, are very common in crosswords. So like low point Scrabble tiles are just the ones that are most common. You know, like the Wheel of Fortune freebies, those letters. To cut as grass, I just saw that one. That one's is mow. So what is this? This could be hemi, as in the prefix for half, but it could also be HDMI, which I'm more convinced is the correct answer here. So if this is, I'm also not sure if this is lemurs. It could possibly be femurs. So I gotta watch out for that still. But what is this? Snow something? Kid Vicious. That sounds like a fighter's name or something because it looks like this is some kind of title because this is capital. So I'm going to go with Kid because this looks like it snows something. Demers? Is that possibly a name? Davidson College? Um, I. Sure. Um, it certainly looks like it's a name, Davidson College. Um, yes, and I believe that the former SNL cast member is referring to Pete Davidson, who used to be on SNL. So makes me think that this is. Oh, I think I know what this is. Oh, okay. I just made this connection. So I know that this is Pete Davidson. I also happen to know that there's a Pete Best, and Pete Best used to be the drummer for the Beatles before he left and was replaced by Ringo Starr. So 1960s rock musician is Pete Best and Pete Rose. So this in a way has told me what the revealer is for this. This has to do something with Pete's. Oh, three Pete's. Athletic trifectas or a phonetic hint to the start of these says three Pete's. Wow, that's a good one. Okay. So phonetically, this is Pete, but of course, you can also think of it as the name Pete, and each of these starts with a last name of a famous Pete. All right, that definitely helps with this. So let's see what else I can do. Um, S for solve, and it's not sleeped, so I think this is bleeped. And I actually seen this answer a while ago. Actually, this is Esbaro. I think so. Then perhaps this is not right, but I'm fairly convinced that this is bleeped because the only letters that can go above this, I'm looking at the keyboard right now, are C, P, S, F, and I'm pretty sure this is a B. That is an S. So S and whatever other letter there is, looks like it's just gonna be Esbaro. I don't know how to actually pronounce that, but I'm just gonna say it like I normally do. So what is this? This could be knows how. Um, I'm guessing that's knows and then ho something. So what is this? Once appointed by corporate boards. Wait, I'm also not really sure what this answer is. caress. So maybe it's actually, maybe it really is like this. Maybe it's actually logs. So what is this? Uh, Ergo could work. So it's some kind of chief something officer. So I can think of CEOs, or actually this might actually be Sid. So then this would be Snowshoe, and this actually is CEOs. Okay, kind of stumbled my way through it, but eventually I did get there, so that's nice. Then what could this be? CE blank AL. Um, that's good for grant. Okay, I'm still thinking that I'm not actually convinced by this. So the way that okay, so just to be clear, the way that these clues work is that this is the literal like this first part is the literal definition of the answer, and what's in the bracket is the thing that explains like this is the name of the uh, famous Pete. So this is a description of that famous Pete. So it says Pete Davidson, Pete Best, and these are all in the brackets, but the actual answer is the answer to this. So I don't. I'm not sure that the best comedy actor is going to be a Grammy. I'm sure that it's going to be a best comedy something, but I'm still not sure that it's a comedy. Maybe it's a comedy album. If it's a comedy album, then I think these things make sense. So this looks like this is Cherub, and this is Malibu. So if that's Malibu, Ube. All right. I'm fairly convinced now that this is an album rather than an actor. Okay, so Ube, I think is gonna be like the next matcha. I mean, a lot of people are kind of saying that because matcha was just kind of blew up in 2025 as being sort of an Asian trendy thing that it was definitely around before 2025, but it kind of was blown way out of proportion. Like it got so popular, it was like basically brain rot levels of popularity. You know, it was just being like mentioned with everything, and it's being put in everything, and there was a huge shortage of things. And I think ube is going to be the next thing because it's purple, it's fun, it is a nice flavor, honestly. But I think it's going to be sort of overdone at some point. And I think to get gooey might be to gel, because this certainly is esteem, and this could be felt, and that would be cafe. This could be pelt, and that could be cape. Oh, melt. Sorry, melt. That definitely works well. So, right, there were a lot of letters that could have gone there, but this is certainly to get gooey is to melt. All right, no doubt about that. To increase. This looks like it would have been legal. Um, then what is this? This looks like it has to be urge. And this is poet. So this looks like go up. Right. Okay. Go up. And this is ores, which is like multiple kinds of rock containing minerals. Nice. Okay. Now, okay. Well, that was a clean solve. I'm gonna just take a look at the down answers now and see if there were ones that um, to see if there were some clues that maybe are interesting. Maybe I can talk about. Number on a golf card. Well, this could be a lot of things, but um, I think like when you're kind of looking at a clue like this, if there's a clue where there's an answer that could be a few things, for instance, it could be the whole number, it could be like the date, right? It could be the year or whatever. Um, it could be the sort of like I don't know, maybe like a current score total. I think the thing to focus on is always to look at the sort of most specific part of the clue. In this case, the fact that it's golf rather than just a generic sport, and you want to be looking for things that are like specifically about golf, because the way that these puzzles, their clues are written, they always are very careful to match like the level of specificity that's needed. So if you see something that's specifically a golf card, you want to be looking at something about that does with scoring that's specific only to golf. And so when you know that, you can limit your options down to something like par, which is like the number of strokes for like a score of 0, I think, on a certain hole. Music genre, yeah, just different. I don't know what these bands are, but that's fine. Modern lead into play is interesting. So typically, cos is going to be included as in cosine, like the mathematical function. But modern lead into play makes me so in this case, cos is short for costume, so it's like cosplayers, which is a nice way to. Well, it's cool that we're sort of getting new variety with clue angles. Certainly the cosine is safe, but also done quite often. So let's see what this is. I very liberal spelling of that as well. Lead into yeah, Gen Alpha, Gen X, Y, Z. Yeah. Winged figures, cherub. Okay, so these are quite difficult words actually. Um, Cherub and Malibu. This was, I think, the birthplace of Al Woods, the main character of Legally Blonde. To think highly of, yeah, yeah, yeah. Stevie Nicks and Karen Carpenter. I knew about Karen Carpenter being an alto, but I didn't know who Stevie Nicks was. Maybe I actually do know. Maybe a song that Stevie Nicks did, but I just can't think of that name on top of my head. Jacob's brother is Ezal. Ezal was an interesting guy. I wrote a clue about him recently where it was referring to Esau having sold his birthright to Jacob because Esau is the older twin and Jacob was born clutching the heel of Esau. And so that's where the name Jacob comes from, like someone who like strikes the heel or something. And basically, at some point, Jacob was able to sort of swindle Esau's birthright from him later in the Bible, but I don't really know too much about it. But let's see. Baker's measure, tablespoon, yeah. Esos is common Spanish thing. I was gonna say something about it, but yeah. I mean, I may as well just say about it now. Like this kind of thing does come up quite a lot. The thing that's always a bit tricky though is that this could either be esos or it could be esas. Similar to I think it's these. These could be included as estos or estas. And is there something else? I think it's eso or esa for this or that. Is that right? I think it's this. Could be eso or esa depending on if it's masculine or feminine. Um, oh, I was curious about this. I don't think I paid too much attention to this, but I was really confused by this Y and this G at some point. But it turns out this is the New York Giants. So that actually does work. I suppose it's not an abbreviation I've seen all that often, but it's a good thing that I didn't need to actually know that because I could have gotten all of these besides that. So that's all right. Um, let's see. Let's skip ahead. HDMI, yeah, yeah. Isometric, isomorphic, yeah. To puzzle out, censored on autotape, yeah. Takes exception. Okay, I didn't actually know this word. I know that demure is a word, and I just thought it was too similar to really have that meaning. Well, I'm kind of surprised that it has this meaning of takes exception. I don't remember the last time I've seen that, if at all, to demur. So I'll keep that in mind for next time because I'm sure such a word might come up later when I'm solving. So instead of lemurs, femurs, it could also be demurs. So that's a nice thing to know. Fifth Avenue, Madison Avenue, yeah. Point on the polygons of vertex, like the corner, to caress, and it'll cost you, yeah. Um, all right, that's nice. Anne Curry, that actually might be a useful name for me to know in the future. There are a few ways to clue Anne, like there's Ann Arbor, there's Anne, like Raggedy Ann, the doll. I think very rarely you might get like Anne Perkins from Parks and Rec. At least that's the first Anne that comes to my mind. And I think there was some other Anne that was oh goodness, I can't remember what Anne it was, but I think it was a diarist of some kind. And I can't remember her last name unfortunately. But at least now I know that there's also another Anne named Anne Curry. So that's another thing to add to possible things to that might show up again in future puzzles. All right, and I think that's it. This was a very solid puzzle. Erica is quite a prolific and well-known established constructor, so I expected that this would have been a nice one, and it was. Very clever use of three peats. I definitely knew this word. I'm sure everyone that solves Mondays would know this word, and it's just a really fun reimagining of it that I hadn't thought of before. But certainly, I think it's a very fitting theme for a Monday. Yeah.